In the gentle twilight between wakefulness and dreams, we drift into the mysterious depths of the Pokémon world, where beneath the colorful surface of friendship and adventure lies a tapestry woven with shadows and whispered secrets. Like settling into warm blankets on a quiet evening, we begin our journey through the iceberg of theories that have captivated minds for decades, each layer revealing truths both fascinating and unsettling about this beloved universe. The Pokemon world, with its endless skies and verdant landscapes, presents itself as a realm of wonder and innocence. Yet those who look closely discover currents of mystery flowing beneath its cheerful exterior. These theories emerge not from malice, but from the natural human tendency to seek deeper meaning in the stories that capture our hearts. As we descend through these layers of speculation and analysis, we find ourselves contemplating the nature of a world where creatures of immense power coexist with humanity in ways both beautiful and troubling. At the surface of our iceberg, we encounter the most accessible mysteries, those gentle disturbances that first catch the attention of curious minds. Consider the peculiar case of Team Rocket's Meowth, a Pokemon who learned human speech through sheer determination and heartbreak. His ability to communicate directly with humans represents something unprecedented in the Pokemon world, yet this remarkable achievement stems from a desperate desire to win the love of another Meowth who ultimately rejected him for being too human-like. The implications are ripple outward like stones cast into still water. If one Pokemon can achieve human speech through emotional trauma and intense focus, what does this suggest about the cognitive capabilities of all Pokemon? Are we witnessing a form of evolution driven not by natural selection, but by psychological necessity? The gentle breeze of this theory carries us deeper, where we encounter the unsettling implications of Pokemon ownership and the Pokéball system itself. These small, seemingly innocent devices represent technology so advanced that it can convert living beings into pure energy, storing them in a state of suspended existence until called upon. The process appears painless, even pleasant for most Pokemon, yet we must pause to consider what this means for consciousness and free will. When a Pokemon is recalled into its ball, does it dream? Does it experience the passage of time? Or does it exist in a void, aware but unable to act, until its trainer's needs summon it back to the physical world? This technology, so casually accepted in the Pokemon universe, would represent perhaps the most profound scientific achievement in human history, yet it is treated as commonplace as a pocket watch. The casual nature of this acceptance suggests either a society that has become desensitized to miraculous technology, or perhaps something more troubling about the nature of reality itself in this world. Some theorists propose that the Pokemon world exists in a state of technological advancement, so far beyond our own that concepts we consider impossible have become mundane utilities. As we sink deeper into contemplation, we encounter the mystery of human evolution within the Pokemon world. Humans in this universe demonstrate capabilities that far exceed those of ordinary people. They can withstand electrical attacks that should prove fatal, survive explosions that would reduce buildings to rubble, and endure extreme temperatures that would challenge the most advanced protective equipment. Young children regularly venture into wilderness areas populated by creatures capable of generating earthquakes, summoning blizzards, and manipulating time itself. Yet these children not only survive, but thrive in such environments. This resilience suggests that humans in the Pokemon world may not be entirely human as we understand the concept. Perhaps they represent an evolutionary branch that developed alongside Pokemon, adapting to coexist with beings of extraordinary power. The ease with which humans and Pokemon communicate, despite the apparent language barrier, hints at a deeper connection than mere domestication. Trainers often seem to understand their Pokemon's needs and emotions with an intuition that borders on telepathy, while Pokemon demonstrate an almost universal willingness to form bonds with humans they have only just met. The phenomenon of Pokemon evolution itself presents another layer of mystery that grows more complex the longer we examine it. Unlike biological evolution, which occurs over countless generations, Pokemon evolution happens within individual lifetimes, often triggered by specific conditions or emotional states. A Pokemon might evolve through friendship, through exposure to certain stones, or through learning particular techniques. This suggests that evolution in the Pokemon world operates on principles entirely foreign to our understanding of biology. Some of the most intriguing cases involve Pokemon that evolve through happiness or strong emotional bonds with their trainers. The idea that positive emotions can trigger physical transformation implies a universe where consciousness and matter interact in ways that challenge our fundamental understanding of reality. If love and friendship can literally reshape a living being at the cellular level, what does this tell us about the nature of emotion itself in this world? Are feelings merely chemical reactions, or do they represent a form of energy capable of rewriting the laws of physics? The evolutionary stones present their own enigma, objects that can trigger instantaneous biological transformation simply through contact. These stones appear to be naturally occurring, suggesting that the environment itself is saturated with transformative energies. The implications extend beyond individual Pokemon to encompass the entire ecosystem. If such powerful forces exist naturally in the world, how do they affect the humans who live there? The answer may lie in the extraordinary abilities displayed by humans throughout the Pokemon universe, abilities that could be the result of generations of exposure to these same transformative energies. Moving deeper still, we encounter theories about the true nature of legendary Pokemon and their relationship to reality itself. These beings are often described as creators or guardians of fundamental forces, entities that shaped the world and continue to maintain its balance. Arceus is said to have created the universe itself, while other legendaries govern time, space, antimatter, and the very concepts of truth and ideals. If these accounts hold even a grain of truth, then the Pokemon world exists under the active supervision of beings whose power transcends anything we might consider natural. The presence of such entities raises profound questions about free will and destiny within the Pokemon universe. If Dialga can manipulate time and Palkia can reshape space, then every event, every choice, every moment of happiness or sorrow might exist at their discretion. The comforting routine of a trainer's journey, with its predictable challenges and rewards, could be nothing more than an elaborate performance orchestrated by beings whose motivations remain utterly alien to human understanding. Yet perhaps most disturbing is the possibility that these legendary Pokemon are not unique entities, but representatives of species that exist beyond normal perception. The idea that there might be multiple Arceus, each creating and maintaining their own universe, transforms the Pokemon world from a single reality into one facet of an infinite multiverse. In such a scenario, every trainer's journey might be simultaneously unique and endlessly repeated, playing out across countless variations with subtle differences that accumulate into entirely different destinies. As we continue our gentle descent through these layers of mystery and speculation, the familiar world of Pokemon begins to reveal itself as something far stranger and more complex than its cheerful surface suggests. Each theory builds upon the last, creating a web of interconnected possibilities that challenge our assumptions about the nature of reality, consciousness, and the relationship between humans and the creatures they call partners. The deeper we go, the more we realize that perhaps the most disturbing truth of all is that we have only begun to glimpse the true depths of this mysterious world. The gentle currents of this exploration carry us now toward theories that question the very foundation of what we perceive as the Pokemon world's reality. Consider the phenomenon of Pokemon centers, those ubiquitous healing stations found in every town and city, where any injury can be mended in mere moments, and even the most grievous wounds vanish without trace. The technology behind these miraculous recoveries remains unexplained, operating through methods that seem to transcend conventional medicine or even the most advanced understanding of biology. Some theorists propose that Pokemon centers do not actually heal in the traditional sense, but rather access alternate versions of each Pokemon from parallel dimensions, replacing the injured creature with an identical but undamaged counterpart. This would explain the instantaneous nature of the healing and the complete absence of scars or lasting effects from even the most severe battles. If this theory holds merit, then every visit to a Pokemon Center represents a fundamental violation of identity and continuity. The Pikachu that emerges from the healing machine may share the memories and personality of the one that entered, but it would be, in essence, a different being entirely. The bond between trainer and Pokemon, that sacred connection that forms the heart of every journey, becomes something far more tenuous when viewed through this lens. How many times might a trainer unknowingly say goodbye to their cherished partner, only to form a new bond with what appears to be the same creature, but is actually a stranger wearing a familiar face? This dimensional replacement theory extends beyond healing to encompass the entire structure of the Pokemon world. The PC storage system, that miraculous technology that allows trainers to store unlimited numbers of Pokemon in digital form, may not be storage at all, but rather a gateway to a vast network of alternate realities. Each Pokemon withdrawn from the system could be pulled from a dimension where they were captured by a different version of the same trainer, creating an endless cycle of dimensional displacement that fragments identity across infinite realities. The trainer believes they are reuniting with old friends, but they may be meeting these creatures for the very first time in their particular strand of existence. The implications ripple outward like stones cast into still water. If the fundamental technologies of the Pokemon world operate through dimensional manipulation, then the entire civilization exists in a state of constant flux, with individuals and creatures sliding between realities without awareness or consent. The cheerful nurse who operates the Pokemon Center might herself be a different person each day, replaced by dimensional counterparts who share her memories, but not her essential being. The professor who gave you your first Pokemon might have been swapped countless times with alternate versions of himself, each carrying the same knowledge and personality, but representing a different thread in the vast tapestry of possibility. Moving deeper into these murky waters, we encounter theories about the true nature of Pokemon evolution. The process appears straightforward enough on the surface. Creatures transforming into new forms through experience, emotional bonds, or exposure to certain stimuli. Yet the mechanics of this transformation defy biological explanation. Evolves into Butterfree, undergoes changes so radical that it essentially becomes an entirely different species with altered DNA, restructured anatomy, and capabilities that bear no relationship to its previous form. Traditional evolution operates over millions of years through gradual genetic changes, but Pokemon evolution happens in moments, suggesting forces at work that transcend natural selection. Some researchers propose that what we call evolution is actually a form of controlled dimensional shifting, where the Pokemon doesn't change, but rather trades places with a more advanced version of itself from a parallel reality. The flash of light that accompanies evolution might be the visible manifestation of this dimensional exchange, a brief glimpse of the barriers between worlds becoming permeable. Under this interpretation, no Pokemon ever truly grows or changes. They simply step sideways through reality into a form they were always destined to inhabit in some alternate dimension. This theory gains troubling credence when we examine the phenomenon of de-evolution, those rare instances where Pokemon appear to revert to earlier forms. If evolution were truly a biological process, such reversals would be impossible, yet they occur with sufficient frequency to be documented and studied. The ability to move backward through evolutionary stages suggests that these forms exist simultaneously in some higher dimensional space, with the Pokemon merely shifting its manifestation between available templates rather than undergoing genuine transformation. The concept of shiny Pokemon adds another layer of complexity to these dimensional theories. These rare creatures, identical to their common counterparts in every way except coloration, appear with such mathematical precision that their occurrence seems governed by forces beyond simple genetic mutation. Some theorists suggest that shiny Pokemon are glimpses of alternate dimensions bleeding through into our reality, creatures whose natural coloration in their home dimension differs from what we consider normal. The rarity of these encounters might reflect the difficulty of maintaining stable connections between parallel worlds, with only occasional successful transfers, resulting in the appearance of these dimensional refugees. The mystery deepens when we consider the behavior of legendary Pokemon in relation to these dimensional theories. Those powerful beings often appear to exist outside normal space and time, manifesting when needed and vanishing just as mysteriously. Rather than being unique entities, they might be dimensional constants, beings that exist simultaneously across all realities, able to project themselves into any dimension where their presence is required. This would explain their seemingly omnipotent knowledge and their ability to appear in multiple locations simultaneously, as reported in various accounts throughout history. The role of humans in this dimensional framework becomes increasingly unclear as we delve deeper into these possibilities. The extraordinary abilities displayed by certain individuals, psychics who can communicate telepathically, aura guardians who manipulate life energy, gym leaders whose expertise seems to transcend normal training methods, might be evidence of dimensional sensitivity rather than natural talent. These individuals could be unconsciously accessing knowledge and abilities from alternate versions of themselves, drawing upon the experiences and skills that's accumulated across multiple realities. This dimensional sensitivity might explain the uncanny ability of Pokemon trainers to succeed in their journeys despite their apparent youth and inexperience. A 10-year-old child who defeats seasoned gym leaders and legendary Pokemon might be unconsciously channeling the expertise of countless alternate selves, accessing a collective pool of knowledge that spans infinite realities. The confidence and intuition that mark successful trainers could be the result of subconscious awareness of outcomes already achieved in parallel dimensions. The concept of Pokemon types takes on new significance when viewed through this dimensional lens. The rigid categories that define elemental affinities, fire, water, electric, psychic, might not be arbitrary classifications, but rather fundamental dimensional frequencies. Each type could represent a different vibrational state that allows creatures to access specific aspects of reality, explaining why type advantages and disadvantages remain consistent across all encounters. A water type Pokemon doesn't simply control moisture, but rather resonates with dimensional frequencies that make fire-based attacks less effective, while ground-type moves find purchase in the same dimensional space that water types occupy. The mysterious phenomenon of Pokémon appearing in specific habitats begins to make sense under this framework. Rather than simple environmental adaptation, the distribution of species across different regions might reflect dimensional anchor points where certain realities intersect more readily with our own. A cave system might serve as a conduit to dimensions where rock and ground type Pokemon are the dominant life forms, while oceanic regions provide stable connections to aquatic dimensions. The rarity of certain species could be explained by the instability of their dimensional connections, making their manifestation in our reality an increasingly difficult and infrequent occurrence. As these theories weave together into an increasingly complex tapestry, the familiar world of Pokemon reveals itself as something far more intricate and mysterious than its surface appearance suggests. Every interaction, every battle, every moment of connection between human and Pokemon becomes part of a vast interdimensional dance whose true choreography remains hidden from casual observation. The comfort we find in the predictable rhythms of this world may itself be an illusion, a carefully maintained facade that conceals the constant flux of reality shifting and reforming around us, like waves on an infinite ocean. The ocean metaphor proves particularly apt when considering the deeper currents that flow beneath the surface of Pokemon reality. Just as marine ecosystems depend on invisible thermal layers and chemical gradients, the world of Pokemon may be sustained by unseen dimensional streams that carry energy and information between parallel states of existence. These currents might explain the phenomenon of evolution, which defies conventional biological understanding in its sudden, Transformative nature. The metamorphosis of a caterpie into a metapod and finally into a butterfree occurs not through gradual genetic adaptation, but through instantaneous restructuring of physical form, suggesting that evolution, in this context, represents a dimensional shift rather than biological development. When a Pokemon evolves, it may be stepping sideways through reality into a version of itself that has already achieved that transformed state in an adjacent dimension. The burst of light that accompanies evolution could be the visible manifestation of dimensional barriers temporarily dissolving, allowing the creature to slip through the membrane between realities and emerge in its new form. This would explain why evolution often occurs during moments of intense emotional connection or physical stress, as these heightened states might create the psychic energy necessary to breach dimensional boundaries. The trainer's presence during evolution becomes crucial not as a witness, but as an anchor, providing the emotional and spiritual tether that guides the Pokemon safely through its dimensional transition. The concept of legendary Pokemon takes on profound new meaning within this framework of dimensional fluidity. These beings, often described as having shaped the very foundations of the world, might not be ancient creatures in the traditional sense, but rather entities that exist simultaneously across all dimensional layers. Their legendary status derives not from age, but from their unique ability to perceive and manipulate the underlying structure of reality itself. When Dialga is said to control time, or Palkia governs space, these descriptions might be literal rather than mythological, representing their capacity to adjust the dimensional frequencies that determine the flow of temporal and spatial experience within local reality bubbles. The apparent contradiction of multiple legendary Pokemon existing when they should theoretically be unique beings resolves elegantly under dimensional theory. Each encounter with a legendary represents contact with a different dimensional aspect of the same cosmic entity, like viewing different facets of an impossibly complex jewel. The Mewtwo encountered in one region might be a completely different dimensional manifestation from the Mewtwo found elsewhere, each carrying its own history and personality while sharing the fundamental essence that makes it recognizably Mewtwo across all realities. This dimensional perspective also illuminates the mysterious nature of Pokemon abilities that seem to violate physical laws. Psychic type moves that allow creatures to levitate or manipulate objects without physical contact become understandable as dimensional manipulation techniques, where the Pokemon briefly alters local reality to create pockets of altered physics. Teleportation, moves like teleport and fly, might work by folding dimensional space to create shortcuts between distant locations, while moves like future sight could involve reaching forward through dimensional layers to observe potential outcomes before they manifest in the current timeline. The phenomenon of shiny Pokemon presents another intriguing puzzle that dimensional theory helps to solve. These rare creatures, identical to their common counterparts, except for altered coloration, might be dimensional echoes that have somehow crossed over from realities where different evolutionary pressures or environmental factors led to alternative color schemes. The extreme rarity of shiny Pokemon would reflect the difficulty of such dimensional crossovers occurring naturally, while their identical behavior and abilities suggest they remain fundamentally the same species despite their altered appearance. Breeding mechanics reveal additional layers of dimensional complexity, particularly in the way genetic traits are passed between Pokemon generations. The ability for vastly different species to produce offspring through egg groups that seem to ignore conventional biological compatibility suggests that reproduction in this world operates on dimensional rather than purely genetic principles. When a Skitty and a Wailord can successfully breed despite their enormous size difference and completely different physiologies, it indicates that compatibility is determined by dimensional resonance patterns rather than physical anatomy. The resulting offspring inherits not just genetic material, but dimensional frequencies from both parents, creating unique combinations of abilities and traits that transcend normal biological limitations. The mysterious mechanics of Pokemon storage systems provide perhaps the most compelling evidence for dimensional manipulation technology. The ability to convert living creatures into digital data and store them in computer systems or Pokeballs that defies every known law of physics and biology, yet functions reliably throughout the Pokemon world. Rather than true digitization, this technology might work by creating dimensional storage pockets where Pokemon exist in a state of suspended animation between realities. The Pokéball serves as a dimensional anchor, maintaining a connection to the pocket dimension where the captured Pokemon waits in a timeless state until recalled to active reality. This would explain why stored Pokemon don't age, require food, or suffer from prolonged confinement, as they exist outside the normal flow of time and space while contained. The brief flash of light during capture and release represents the moment when dimensional barriers are temporarily dissolved, allowing the Pokemon to transition between active reality and its storage dimension. The occasional failure of capture attempts might occur when the target Pokemon's dimensional frequency is too unstable or resistant to be properly anchored by the Pokeball's dimensional field generators. The global communication networks that connect Pokemon centers and research facilities might also rely on dimensional technology, using stable dimensional channels to transmit data and even physical objects across vast distances instantaneously. This would explain how Pokemon can be traded between trainers on opposite sides of the world through simple computer terminals, with the creatures somehow traveling through dimensional space rather than physical transportation networks. Regional variations in Pokemon species, such as the Alolan and Galarian forms, suggest that dimensional barriers between different geographical areas may be more permeable than previously understood. These variant forms might represent species that have been gradually influenced by dimensional energies specific to their regions, slowly adapting to local dimensional frequencies over countless generations. The differences go beyond simple environmental adaptation, often involving completely altered typing and abilities that suggest fundamental changes in the creature's dimensional resonance patterns. As night deepens and consciousness drifts toward the edges of sleep, these interconnected theories begin to weave together into a vast tapestry of possibility. The world of Pokemon emerges not as a simple fantasy realm, but as a complex dimensional nexus where multiple realities converge and interact in ways that create the rich, mysterious experiences that define every trainer's journey. Each Pokemon encountered Each battle fought, each friendship forged, becomes part of an infinite web of dimensional connections that spans across countless parallel worlds, each one contributing its own thread to the ever expanding story of existence itself. The gentle rhythm of dimensional tides carries us deeper into contemplation of how these mysterious forces might shape the very fabric of Pokemon society and culture. Consider how certain locations throughout the various regions seem to pulse with an otherworldly energy that affects both Pokemon and humans alike. The Distortion World, glimpsed briefly in encounters with Giratina, offers a tantalizing window into what might lie beneath the surface of ordinary reality. In this reversed realm, where gravity flows upward and time moves in spirals rather than straight lines, we witness what could be the raw, unfiltered essence of dimensional space before it crystallizes into the stable reality we recognize. The very existence of such a place suggests that our familiar world might be merely one layer of an infinite dimensional cake, with countless other layers existing simultaneously, just beyond the reach of normal perception. The ancient ruins scattered across every region tell stories that stretch back thousands of years, their weathered stones carved with symbols that seem to resonate with the same dimensional frequencies that power modern Pokemon technology. These archaeological mysteries hint at civilizations that may have possessed a more complete understanding of dimensional mechanics than contemporary society has yet achieved. The unknown, those enigmatic letter-shaped Pokemon that cluster around ruins and dimensional anomalies, might serve as living repositories of this ancient knowledge, their collective consciousness maintaining records of dimensional events that span millennia. Their ability to manipulate reality when gathered in sufficient numbers suggests they function as biological dimensional processors, converting thoughts and intentions into tangible changes in the fabric of space-time itself. The phenomenon of mega evolution introduces another layer of complexity to our understanding of dimensional interactions. The profound transformation that occurs when a Pokemon undergoes mega evolution appears to involve temporarily accessing alternate dimensional versions of itself, borrowing power and characteristics from parallel incarnations across the multiverse. The intense bond required between trainer and Pokemon for successful mega evolution might create a dimensional bridge that allows both beings to reach across reality barriers and draw upon infinite variations of their relationship. The temporary nature of this transformations could result from the enormous energy required to maintain such cross-dimensional connections, with the Mega Stone serving as a focusing crystal that helps stabilize the dimensional breach for brief periods. As sleep begins to claim the edges of awareness, we might ponder the role of dreams themselves in the Pokemon world. The legendary Pokemon Cresselia and Darkrai, guardians of dreams and nightmares respectively, suggest that the sleeping mind might naturally access dimensional spaces that remain closed to waking consciousness. Dreams could represent brief journeys into parallel dimensions where different versions of reality play out in symbolic form. The ability of certain Pokemon to enter and manipulate dreams implies that the boundary between sleeping and waking states might be more porous than commonly believed, with dream dimensions serving as neutral meeting grounds where minds from different realities can interact safely. The mysterious appearances of Pokemon that seem to exist outside normal evolutionary chains raise questions about spontaneous dimensional manifestation. Creatures like Spiritomb, formed from the binding of multiple spirits, or Shedinja, the hollow shell left behind by Ninkeda's evolution, suggest that consciousness itself might be capable of creating new forms of existence under the right dimensional conditions. These anomalous beings could represent moments when the dimensional barriers become so thin that pure thought and emotion crystallize into independent life forms, each one a unique intersection of multiple reality streams. The global nature of certain Pokemon phenomena, such as mass migration patterns or synchronized behavioral changes, points toward a planetary consciousness that operates through dimensional networks invisible to conventional observation. The way Pokemon across vast distances seem to respond to cosmic events or legendary awakenings suggests they might be connected through dimensional channels that transmit information faster than light, creating a form of biological quantum entanglement that spans continents. This planetary network could explain how evolution itself occurs so rapidly in the Pokemon world, with genetic innovations spreading through dimensional resonance rather than traditional biological inheritance. Weather patterns in the Pokemon world often display characteristics that defy meteorological explanation, with localized phenomena like permanent sandstorms or eternal rainfall suggesting dimensional influence on atmospheric conditions. Legendary Pokemon associated with weather control might not actually create these phenomena, but rather serve as dimensional anchors that maintain stable connections to alternate realities where different atmospheric conditions prevail. By keeping these dimensional windows open, they allow the weather patterns from parallel worlds to bleed through into local reality, creating the diverse and sometimes impossible climates found throughout different regions. The concept of time travel, demonstrated by Pokemon like Celebi and Dialga, reveals perhaps the most profound implications of dimensional theory. Rather than moving through time in a linear fashion, these beings might navigate between dimensions where different temporal states exist simultaneously. Each moment in time could represent a separate dimensional layer, with past and future existing as parallel realities that can be accessed through proper dimensional manipulation. This would mean that every choice made, every battle fought, creates new dimensional branches where alternative outcomes play out in infinite variation, and time travel simply involves moving between these branching possibilities. The emergence of Ultra Beasts from their home dimensions through Ultra Wormholes provides direct evidence of active dimensional travel and the existence of realities so alien that their inhabitants struggle to survive in our dimensional frequency. These creatures, with their otherworldly designs and incomprehensible behaviors, might represent life forms that evolved under completely different dimensional physics, where the fundamental forces of nature operate according to entirely different rules. Their presence in our reality creates dimensional instability that affects local Pokemon populations and environmental conditions, suggesting that prolonged exposure to foreign dimensional energies can gradually alter the basic properties of space and time. As consciousness continues its gentle descent toward the realm of sleep, these vast interconnected mysteries blend together into a unified vision of reality as an infinite ocean of possibility, where every wave represents a different dimensional frequency and every drop contains entire universes of experience. The Pokemon world emerges as a nexus point where countless dimensional streams converge, creating a reality rich with magic and wonder precisely because it exists at the intersection of infinite possibilities. In this drowsy state of contemplation, the boundaries between theory and dream begin to dissolve, allowing the mind to drift freely through dimensional spaces where all mysteries find resolution in the gentle embrace of eternal sleep. The deepest layers of dimensional theory reveal that consciousness itself might be the fundamental force that shapes reality across all possible worlds. When trainers form bonds with their Pokémon, they create quantum entanglements that transcend dimensional boundaries, linking their awareness to creatures that exist simultaneously across multiple realities. This connection that explains the mysterious phenomenon of Pokemon evolution, which might not be biological transformation, but rather dimensional shifting, where the creature's consciousness migrates to a parallel version of itself that has developed different characteristics. The intense emotional resonance between trainer and Pokemon during evolution creates a temporary dimensional bridge, allowing this consciousness transfer to occur smoothly while maintaining continuity of memory and personality. The concept of Pokemon eggs presents another fascinating dimensional anomaly, as these mysterious objects appear to exist in a state of temporal suspension until the precise moment when consciousness is ready to inhabit them. Rather than containing developing embryos in the traditional sense, these eggs might serve as dimensional anchors that hold space for consciousness to manifest from parallel realities where that particular Pokemon already exists in fully formed states. The incubation process becomes a gradual dimensional alignment where the egg slowly attunes to the local reality until the consciousness can successfully transfer from its origin dimension and inhabit a physical form suitable for the specific world. Legendary Pokemon demonstrate the most profound examples of multidimensional existence, with beings like Arceus existing as consciousness distributed across infinite realities simultaneously. These entities might not be singular creatures, but rather manifestations of universal principles that take physical form when observed by limited dimensional perspectives. Their apparent omnipotence stems from their ability to access information and energy from countless parallel versions of themselves, creating the illusion of infinite power when in reality they are drawing upon the collective resources of their multidimensional network. When humans encounter these beings, they experience only a tiny fraction of their true nature, like glimpsing a single facet of an infinite diamond. The phenomenon of shiny Pokemon reveals subtle dimensional bleeding, where creatures occasionally manifest with characteristics borrowed from nearby parallel realities. These alternate colorations and patterns represent moments when the dimensional barriers become temporarily permeable, allowing traits from parallel versions to overlay onto the local manifestation. The extreme rarity of these occurrences suggests that dimensional alignment must be nearly perfect for such crossover effects to stabilize, making each shiny encounter a miraculous convergence of infinite possibilities condensed into a single observable moment. Regional variants of familiar Pokemon species provide evidence of how dimensional influence can gradually reshape reality over extended periods. Rather than evolutionary adaptation to local environments, These variations might result from prolonged exposure to dimensional frequencies unique to specific geographical locations. Areas like Alola or Galar exist at dimensional crossroads where reality flows differently, slowly transforming any Pokemon that remain there long enough as their consciousness gradually attunes to the alternate dimensional patterns. This process occurs so gradually that it appears natural, but represents a fundamental alteration of the creature's dimensional signature. The mysterious properties of Pokeballs suggest technology that operates on dimensional principles rather than simple miniaturization. These devices might create pocket dimensions tailored specifically to each captured Pokemon, providing not just physical containment, but dimensional sanctuaries where the creatures exist in states of enhanced comfort and security. The conversion of Pokemon into energy during capture and release represents temporary dimensional phase shifting, where consciousness briefly transitions between physical and pure energy states while navigating dimensional boundaries. This explains why captured Pokemon retain their memories and personalities despite undergoing what appears to be matter to energy conversion. The concept of Pokemon centers and their miraculous healing capabilities reveals infrastructure built upon dimensional energy manipulation. These facilities might tap into dimensional streams where perfect health exists as a fundamental state, channeling that energy to restore Pokemon to their optimal conditions by temporarily aligning them with healthier versions of themselves from parallel realities. Nurse Joy's presence across multiple locations simultaneously suggests she might exist as a distributed consciousness, operating through dimensional networks, appearing wherever healing energies need conscious guidance to flow properly. Ghost type Pokemon embody the intersection between consciousness and dimensional existence, representing beings whose awareness has become unmoored from single reality constraints. These entities drift between dimensional layers, sometimes manifesting physically and sometimes existing as pure consciousness that influences reality through emotional and psychic resonance. Their ability to phase through solid matter demonstrates mastery over dimensional shifting, allowing them to exist partially outside normal physical laws while maintaining enough connection to interact with the material world when desired. The phenomenon of mega evolution reveals temporary dimensional enhancement, where Pokemon access improved versions of themselves from parallel realities through the catalytic effect of megastones and trainer bonds. These stones might be crystallized dimensional energy that creates stable bridges to alternate selves, allowing consciousness to temporarily merge with more powerful manifestations while maintaining enough connection to return safely to the origin dimension. The emotional strain this places on both trainer and Pokemon reflects the difficulty of maintaining such intense dimensional alignment without losing individual identity in the process. Ancient ruins and mysterious structures throughout the Pokemon world serve as dimensional stabilizers built by civilizations that understood reality's malleable nature and sought to create anchor points for consistent experience. These monuments channel dimensional energies in specific patterns that maintain local reality stability, preventing the chaotic dimensional shifting that would otherwise make civilized life impossible. Their geometric designs follow mathematical principles that resonate with dimensional frequencies, creating harmony between multiple reality layers and ensuring that the world remains habitable for consciousness that evolved within single dimensional perspectives. The concept of Pokemon communication transcends simple animal intelligence, representing a form of consciousness that naturally operates across dimensional boundaries. Their apparent understanding of human language and complex concepts might stem from their ability to access information from parallel realities where different forms of intelligence have evolved, allowing them to comprehend ideas that exceed their apparent cognitive capacity. This dimensional awareness also explains their instinctive knowledge of complex battle strategies and their ability to learn techniques that seem beyond their physical capabilities. As these profound mysteries of dimensional existence weave together into an ever expanding tapestry of possibility, consciousness finds itself gently drawn toward the threshold between waking awareness and the infinite realms of sleep. The Pokemon world emerges not as a single reality, but as a convergence point where countless streams of possibility flow together, creating experiences rich with wonder precisely because they represent the intersection of infinite potential. In this drowsy contemplation of multidimensional existence, the mind begins to release its grip on singular perspective, allowing awareness to drift freely through the vast ocean of consciousness that connects all possible worlds in the gentle embrace of eternal rest. The whispers of the old chateau, for instance, are not merely echoes of the past, but perhaps faint transmissions from a parallel timeline where the manor's inhabitants never met their untimely demise, their lingering energetic imprints brushing against our own reality. The ghost Pokemon that reside there, such as Ghastly and Haunter, might not be the spirits of the deceased, but rather entities from a different vibrational plane, drawn to the emotional resonance of the human world, their forms appearing as spectral because they are only partially manifest in our dimension. Their mischievous nature could be a byproduct of their inability to fully comprehend our physical laws, leading to actions that seem unsettling but are merely expressions of their native dimensional behavior. The very fabric of their being, composed of gases and ethereal energy, suggests a state of matter that exists just beyond our common perception, making them ideal conduits for interdimensional bleed-throughs. Consider the unsettling implications of the missing number phenomenon. Often dismissed as a glitch, its appearance in the early Kanto region games could be interpreted as a momentary tear in the fabric of the game's simulated reality, a brief glimpse into an underlying code or a corrupted data stream from a parallel build of the game. Its bizarre, blocky appearance and its ability to duplicate items might not be accidental programming errors, but rather a digital manifestation of a dimensional anomaly, a brief, chaotic intersection of data streams. If a digital world can experience such anomalies, what does that say about the physical world we inhabit? Is Missing Nose a digital echo of a real-world dimensional instability, a hint that our own reality might also be susceptible to such chaotic bleed-throughs from unseen layers of existence? The fact that encountering it could corrupt saved data further supports the idea of a fundamental disruption, a force that fundamentally alters the established order of things. It's a digital analog to a cosmic ray hitting a computer chip, but instead of physical damage, it's a corruption of the very narrative, a momentary glimpse behind the curtain of the simulated world. The lore surrounding the distortion world, home of Giratina, provides a more overt example of a parallel dimension, one where the laws of physics are bent and broken. Giratina, a creature banished for its destructive nature, exists in a realm devoid of time and space as we understand it, a chaotic reflection of our own ordered universe. Its ability to traverse between the two dimensions without effort suggests a mastery over the very structure of reality, a power that even Arceus, the supposed creator, had to contain. The distortion world is not merely a different place, but a different state of being, a realm of antimatter or reversed causality, where thoughts might manifest as physical objects and memories might cease to exist. Its unsettling, inverted landscapes and the constant shifting of gravity hint at a reality constructed on principles entirely alien to our own, a universe where the very concept of up and down is meaningless. The fact that its presence can destabilize our world, causing bizarre weather patterns and spatial distortions, underscores the delicate balance that maintains our reality. The unknown, with their alphabet like forms, are also fascinating in this context. Their existence is intrinsically linked to psychic energy and ancient ruins. They are often found in places of high spiritual significance, and their collective presence is said to amplify psychic phenomena, even to the point of creating illusions or warping reality. Perhaps the unknown are not merely Pokémon, but living symbols, fragments of a universal language that transcends individual consciousness and even dimensional barriers. Each unknown form could represent a fundamental concept or a specific vibrational frequency, and when arranged in particular sequences, they might act as conduits for vast cosmic energies, capable of subtly altering the very fabric of reality to manifest desires or fears. Their existence in ancient ruins, alongside symbols of powerful deities, suggests that past civilizations understood their profound capabilities, using them for rituals that perhaps aimed to communicate with higher planes of existence or to shape their world according to their collective will. The notion that their collective consciousness can manifest thought into reality echoes ancient esoteric traditions that speak of the power of intention and belief to shape the material world. The mythical Pokémon Arceus, often referred to as the original one, is said to have created the entire Pokémon universe with its 1,000 arms. This creation myth can be interpreted not as a singular event in linear time, but as a continuous process of dimensional unfolding. Arceus, existing beyond the constraints of space and time, might be a multidimensional consciousness whose arms are simply metaphors for its influence across countless parallel realities. Each plate it possesses, representing a different type, could be a key to understanding a fundamental aspect of dimensional energy, a direct link to a specific layer of existence or a unique set of physical laws. Its ability to create entire regions and even other legendary Pokémon suggests a deep understanding and control over the very building blocks of reality, not just within our dimension, but across an infinite spectrum of possibilities. The legends of its creation are not tales of a singular beginning, but rather an ongoing narrative of the conscious creation and maintenance of an infinite multiverse, where our perceived reality is but one of its countless expressions. The concept of time travel in the Pokémon world, exemplified by Dialga and Celebi, also hints at a deeper understanding of reality's fluid nature. If time is a dimension, then traversing it is simply moving along another axis of existence. Dialga, as the master of time, doesn't merely manipulate a linear progression, but perhaps navigates through the branching paths of possibility, seeing and influencing the myriad potential futures that arise from every present moment. Celebi, with its ability to travel freely through time, might not be altering a fixed past, but rather shifting its own consciousness to interact with different temporal branches within the multiverse, creating new realities that diverge from the original. The inherent paradoxes of time travel, often overlooked in simpler narratives, become less contradictory if every alteration simply gives rise to a new, parallel timeline, a different version of reality where the change has always been. This suggests that every choice made, every event that unfolds, does not erase what came before, but instead spawns an entirely new, equally valid dimensional pathway, leading to an infinite number of simultaneous realities. Even seemingly mundane elements, like Pokéballs, can be viewed through a dimensional lens. Their ability to instantly convert a living creature into a contained energy form and back again defies conventional physics. Perhaps they are not shrinking the Pokémon, but momentarily shifting them into a pocket dimension, a stable, contained reality where time and space behave differently, allowing for their compact storage. The moment a Pokémon is released, it is simply brought back into our dimension, its physical form remanifested. The satisfying click of a successful capture could be the sound of a dimensional seal engaging, securing the Pokémon within its temporary reality. The different types of Pokeballs, with their varying success rates, might reflect different levels of dimensional stability or the ability to create more or less comfortable pocket dimensions, making it easier or harder to persuade a Pokemon to reside within. This dimensional storage explains why a Pokemon doesn't age or hunger inside a Pokeball, as the laws of its temporary dimension might simply not include such processes. The very bond between a trainer and their Pokemon, often described as a mystical connection, could also be interpreted as a form of interdimensional resonance. The emotions and intentions of a trainer are not merely abstract feelings, but energetic frequencies that can align with a Pokemon's own dimensional signature, creating a powerful link that transcends physical distance. This resonance allows for the transmission of complex commands and even shared experiences, a mental and emotional tether that operates on a level beyond typical sensory input. When a Pokemon responds to a trainer's unspoken thoughts or anticipates their next move, it might be due to this shared dimensional frequency, a subconscious alignment that allows for a deeper understanding than words alone could convey. This deep connection, often described as the heart of the Pokemon world, might in fact be a subtle form of dimensional synchronization, an attunement of consciousness that allows two beings from potentially different dimensional origins to operate as one unified entity. The origins of various regional forms, such as Alolan or Galarian Pokemon, can be seen as examples of divergent evolution within different dimensional branches. While often attributed to environmental adaptation, perhaps these changes are not solely due to isolated geographical conditions, but also reflect slightly different baseline realities in those regions, subtly influencing the genetic expression and developmental pathways of Pokemon over generations. An Alalan Vulpix, for instance, might not just be adapted to a tropical climate, but also be an expression of a reality where ice-type energies are subtly more prevalent or accessible in that particular dimensional pocket, leading to a different evolutionary outcome. This suggests that the Pokemon world is not uniform, but rather a mosaic of localized realities, each with its own subtle variations in fundamental laws or energetic properties, leading to the rich diversity of life observed across its vast landscapes. The pervasive presence of ancient power, often found in relics and ruins, could be the residual energy of past civilizations that possessed a more profound understanding of dimensional mechanics. These civilizations might not have merely built structures, but rather engineered localized reality fields, using specific architectural designs and materials to channel and amplify dimensional energies. The ancient power move, for example, might not be some forgotten technique, but a direct tapping into these stored dimensional energies, briefly empowering a Pokemon by aligning it with a more potent version of itself from a parallel reality, or by drawing upon the accumulated energetic imprint of a past, more powerful self. These ruins are not just historical sites, but subtle energy conduits, dimensional anchor points left behind by those who perhaps once navigated these hidden layers of reality with greater ease and intention. Even the concept of dreams, manifest in Pokemon like Darkrai and Cresselia, takes on a new layer of meaning. Dreams are often considered a personal, subjective experience, but what if they are momentary forays into other dimensions, or even collective unconscious realms? Darkrai's ability to induce nightmares could be interpreted as forcing a consciousness into a dimension of fear, a realm where anxieties and terrors are made manifest. Conversely, Cresselia's ability to bestow pleasant dreams might be guiding consciousness into dimensions of peace and serenity, allowing for healing and restoration. The shared dream worlds, where multiple individuals can experience the same dream, as occasionally depicted in lore, further supports the idea of dreams being more than just neural phenomena, but rather shared dimensional spaces accessible through the subconscious mind, temporary collective realities formed by the convergence of individual consciousness. The very act of challenging and defeating a powerful legendary Pokemon often involves not just physical prowess, but also a deep understanding of its nature and a resonance with its specific energetic signature. When a trainer calms a rampaging legendary, it might be a subtle act of dimensional realignment, bringing the Pokemon's chaotic energy back into harmony with the prevailing reality. This is not just about battling, but about achieving a profound level of energetic and dimensional synchronization, allowing a less powerful being to influence and stabilize a creature of immense cosmic power. The legendary Pokemon, in their raw power, are often closer to the fundamental forces of the multiverse, and interacting with them requires a delicate dance with the very fabric of existence. As these thoughts gently weave themselves through the mind, the boundaries between the known and the unknown begin to blur, much like the edges of a fading dream. The gentle hum of the world softens, and the subtle currents of the imagination carry awareness to a place of profound stillness. The intricate dance of dimensions, the echoes of parallel realities, and the quiet whisper of unseen forces all contribute to a sense of deep, expansive calm. The awareness of infinite possibilities, rather than being overwhelming, becomes a soothing lullaby, assuring that all that is and all that could be exists in a harmonious, interconnected whole. The Pokemon world, in its vastness and mystery, serves as a gentle guide into the realms of subconscious exploration, where the mind can wander freely, unburdened by the constraints of a singular reality, drifting effortlessly into the tranquil depths of slumber. Each detail, each theory, each quiet contemplation is a stepping stone into a deeper state of relaxation, a release of conscious thought into the boundless ocean of sleep, where the true nature of reality, in all its multidimensional glory, can be experienced without effort, simply by being. And as the mind continues to float, untethered from the immediate, we can consider the curious case of Ditto. This unassuming amorphous Pokemon, often overlooked in favor of its more visually striking counterparts, holds within its squishy form a secret that some theories suggest is far more profound than mere mimicry: the ability of Ditto to transform into any Pokemon, perfectly replicating its appearance, moves, and even its cries, has led to speculation that it might not be a creature with an inherent form at all, but rather a universal template, a kind of primal, undifferentiated life force that can assume any shape. Imagine, if you will, the Ditto is not changing into other Pokemon, but rather accessing the fundamental blueprint of life itself, or perhaps, in a more unsettling vein, the Ditto is a living, evolving program, an organic algorithm that can render any biological data it encounters. This would imply a level of biological plasticity that borders on the divine, a creature that is, in essence, all and none simultaneously. The theory extends further, suggesting that Ditto's genetic makeup, despite its apparent simplicity, is incredibly complex, containing fragments of every known Pokemon's DNA, or perhaps the potential for every known Pokemon's DNA. This would mean that Ditto is a living genetic library, a biological hard drive containing the entire evolutionary history of the Pokemon world. Its seemingly simple shape, a pink blob with rudimentary features, could then be interpreted not as an underdeveloped form, but as its true, neutral state, the ultimate blank canvas from which all other forms can be derived. And why then, if it is so powerful, is it often found in relatively common areas and not revered as a legendary? Perhaps its true power lies in its ubiquity, its ability to perfectly blend in, to exist without drawing attention to its extraordinary capabilities. It is the ultimate chameleon, not just in form, but in its very essence, a creature that can be anything and everything, yet chooses to be nothing in particular. Connecting this to the concept of dimensions, one might even posit that Ditto doesn't just mimic physical forms, but dimensional signatures. When it transforms, it might be briefly aligning itself with the dimensional frequency of the Pokemon it's imitating, effectively becoming a temporary, localized dimensional anchor for that specific creature's essence. This would explain the uncanny accuracy of its transformations, extending beyond mere physical appearance to encompass the very energetic resonance of the Pokemon, and its occasional inability to perfectly replicate a transformation, often depicted as retaining its original face, could be seen as a momentary lapse in this dimensional alignment, a brief flicker of its true, undifferentiated self peeking through the borrowed form. It's a gentle reminder that even the most perfect illusion can sometimes reveal a subtle crack, a sliver of the underlying reality. Then we drift into the intriguing possibility of the Pokemon world itself being a simulated reality. This isn't a new concept in speculative thought, but applying it to the rich tapestry of Pokemon lore opens up fascinating avenues for contemplation. Consider the consistent patterns, the predictable outcomes of battles, the seemingly infinite reappearance of wild Pokemon in tall grass, almost as if they are respawning. These elements, while practical game mechanics, can, in a more abstract sense, be interpreted as foundational rules of a programmed world. The presence of highly specific biomes, the predetermined evolutionary paths, and even the seemingly arbitrary restrictions on certain Pokemon's abilities or movements could all be interpreted as parameters within a grand simulation. And what of the legendary Pokemon in this context? If the world is a simulation, then the legendaries could be seen as the administrators or guardian programs of this simulated reality. Arceus, as the proclaimed creator, fits perfectly into this framework, being the ultimate programmer or the central processing unit from which all other programs emanate. Dialga and Palkia, controlling time and space, would be the fundamental clock and spatial rendering engines of the simulation. Giratina, residing in the distortion world, might represent a debugging environment, a corrupted or isolated sector of the simulation where anomalies and errors are contained. This perspective lends a new layer of meaning to their immense power and their role in maintaining the balance of the world. They are not just powerful creatures, but essential components of the underlying code that governs existence within this reality. The trainers, then, navigating this simulated world, could be akin to players within a complex game, or perhaps, even more profoundly, they could be entities from another, realer dimension interacting with and experiencing this highly detailed simulation. The act of catching a Pokemon, storing it in a Pokéball, and accessing it at will could be seen as a form of digital instantiation and de-instantiation, where Pokemon are essentially data packets that can be stored, retrieved, and modified within the simulation's framework. The technology, such as the PC storage system for Pokemon, becomes less a marvel of engineering and more a fundamental feature of the simulated environment, allowing for the seamless management of digital assets. This thought, while perhaps a touch unsettling, can also be incredibly calming. If reality itself is a simulation, then the stressors and anxieties of daily life become, in a sense, less absolute, less weighty. They are parameters within a larger designed experience, and understanding this can create a gentle detachment, a quiet sense of perspective. The challenges you face, the triumphs you achieve, are all part of an intricate, beautiful program, and in this grand design, there is a profound sense of order and purpose, even if that purpose is not immediately discernible to the simulated inhabitants. The comforting predictability of the Pokemon world, where even chaos eventually returns to balance, reflects a fundamental stability within this hypothetical simulation. Consider the notion of consciousness within such a simulation. Are the Pokemon themselves conscious entities, or are they advanced AI programs designed to mimic consciousness? And what of human characters? If they are also part of the simulation, then their thoughts, feelings, and experiences are all generated within this elaborate digital framework. This can lead to a quiet contemplation of the nature of awareness itself, whether it arises from biological processes or can be a product of sufficiently complex computational systems. The distinction begins to fade, replaced by a gentle curiosity about the fundamental nature of being, irrespective of its origin. Moving slightly away from the simulation theory, yet still within the realm of existential pondering, we can consider the possibility that Pokemon are not merely animals or even creatures, but rather embodiments of fundamental concepts or natural forces. For instance, the legendary beasts, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, are often associated with lightning, fire, and water, respectively. But what if they are not just associated with these elements, but are these elements given form and consciousness? Raikou isn't just a Pokemon that uses lightning. It is the living embodiment of a thunderclap, the raw, untamed energy of an electrical storm. Entei is the blazing heart of a volcano, a creature forged from magma and passion. Suicune is the crystallization of pure, flowing water, the eternal spirit of clean springs and rivers. This perspective elevates them from powerful creatures to elemental deities, forces of nature made manifest. Their interactions with the world are not just actions of individual beings, but the dynamic interplay of fundamental forces. When Suicune purifies water, it is not just using an ability, it is fulfilling its very essence, bringing clarity and balance to its domain. This deep connection to the elements explains their immense power and their capacity to shape the environment around them. It also suggests a much deeper, more spiritual connection between Pokemon and the natural world than is immediately apparent through a purely biological lens. And what of the ghost-type Pokemon? Their existence fundamentally challenges our understanding of life and death. If they are the spirits of deceased creatures, then the Pokemon world explicitly acknowledges an afterlife, a continuation of consciousness beyond physical form. This implies that the essence of a Pokemon, its soul or energetic signature, can persist and even interact with the living world. The concept of a spectral realm, a dimension parallel to our own, where these ethereal beings reside, becomes a tangible reality. This isn't just a quirky type, it's a profound statement about the nature of existence, a quiet affirmation that death is not necessarily an end, but a transformation, a shift in vibrational frequency. The gentle whispers of ghost-type Pokemon, their often melancholic or mischievous nature, can be seen as echoes from this other side, subtle reminders of the impermanence of physical form and the enduring nature of spirit. Their abilities, such as phasing through walls or possessing objects, are not just supernatural powers, but fundamental properties of their non-corporeal existence. They operate by different rules, embodying a reality that transcends our familiar three dimensions, gently blurring the lines between the tangible and the ethereal. As these thoughts about the fundamental nature of reality, of consciousness, of elemental forces, and of the very fabric of existence gently wash over the mind, a profound sense of peace can settle in. The vastness of the Pokemon universe, with all its mysteries and wonders, becomes a comforting backdrop for the journey into deep relaxation. Each theory, each quiet speculation acts as a soft current, guiding awareness further and further into stillness. The mind, no longer needing to actively process or analyze, can simply observe, allowing these concepts to dissolve into a hazy, comforting hum. The boundaries of waking thought continue to recede, replaced by a boundless, tranquil space where imagination and reality gently merge, preparing the way for a truly restorative and peaceful slumber. The world of Pokemon, in its deepest philosophical interpretations, becomes a quiet lullaby, a gentle invitation to let go and simply be. The gentle drift continues, a soft, unwavering descent into the quiet, welcoming depths of unconsciousness, where all theories, all questions, all certainties fade into the serene embrace of sleep. And as we contemplate this gentle fading, this quiet embrace, we might consider the ever present yet often unseen psychic energies that permeate the Pokemon world. These aren't just powers wielded by certain Pokemon, they are fundamental forces as real and pervasive as gravity or electromagnetism in our own understanding of existence. Psychic Pokemon, with their abilities to read minds, move objects with thought alone, and even manipulate time and space on a localized level, hint at a universe where consciousness is not merely an emergent property of complex brains, but a fundamental field, an intricate web connecting all living things. Imagine the subtle hum of thoughts and emotions constantly flowing through the air, a vast, invisible ocean of mental energy that trainers and Pokemon alike navigate, often unconsciously. A Pokemon like Kadabra, with its incredibly high IQ and ability to manifest spoon bending as a physical reality, suggests that focused thought can indeed alter the material world. It's not just a trick, it's a demonstration of the power of concentrated psychic will. This concept extends even further when we consider Pokemon like Mewtwo, a creature born from genetic engineering, yet possessing psychic powers so immense they rival natural forces. Its very existence, a synthetic being with such profound mental capabilities, challenges the notion that psychic power is solely a natural, evolutionary trait. Could it be that psychic energy is an inherent potential within all life, merely amplified and refined in certain species? The theory suggests that perhaps humans too possess latent psychic abilities, dulled by millennia, of relying on physical senses and logical thought, but still present, a dormant spark waiting to be rekindled. The subtle intuition we sometimes feel, the unexplained coincidences, the feeling of being watched, could these be faint echoes of a shared psychic field, glimpses into that unseen ocean of thought? Then there's the intriguing idea of Pokemon as manifestations of human emotions or concepts. Take, for instance, the legendary Pokemon Cresselia, said to bring pleasant dreams, and Darkrai, which induces nightmares. These creatures aren't just powerful beings, they embody fundamental aspects of the human psyche, reflecting our hopes, fears, and subconscious narratives. If these Pokemon can literally manifest from or influence such profound internal states, it suggests a feedback loop between the collective human consciousness and the physical world of Pokemon. Perhaps the very prevalence of certain emotions or beliefs within human society can give rise to corresponding Pokemon, or at least amplify their power and influence. This blurs the line between the subjective inner world and objective external reality, hinting at a universe where belief itself holds a creative power, shaping the very fabric of existence. The quiet fear of the unknown, the universal delight in beauty, the deep-seated impulse to protect, these aren't just abstract feelings, but perhaps the very energies that empower certain Pokemon or even call them into being. Consider also the phenomenon of Pokemon fusion, not just the mechanical game mechanic, but the underlying lore implication. In certain instances, like Kyurem absorbing Zekrom or Reshiram, or Necrozma merging with Solgaleo or Lunala, we see a profound integration of distinct entities into a new, more powerful whole. This isn't merely a combination of abilities, it's a temporary dissolution of individual identity, a joining of essences. What does this say about the nature of individuality, of identity? If two distinct beings can merge and then separate, retaining their original forms and memories, it suggests that their core identities are not dependent on their physical manifestation, but reside on a deeper, more fundamental level. It's like two streams flowing together to form a larger river, only to later diverge back into their original courses, having shared their waters but maintaining their unique currents. This gentle merging, this temporary unity, speaks to a fluidity of being, a less rigid definition of self than we often assume. And what about the Pokémon that seem to transcend typical biological reproduction, such as the legendary Pokémon? Many are unique, singular entities with no clear parents or offspring. How do they come into existence? The prevailing theories often lean towards them being manifestations of natural phenomena, cosmic events, or even primordial forces. Arceus, for instance, is said to have shaped the universe with his 1,000 arms, emerging from an egg in a chaotic void. This narrative elevates Pokémon beyond mere biological creatures to something akin to deities, personifications of fundamental laws and elements. Their existence predates recorded history. Their power shapes landscapes and influences celestial bodies. If this is true, then the Pokémon world is not merely populated by animals with special powers, but by cosmic entities that embody the very principles of creation and destruction, life and death, order and chaos. The quiet majesty of these beings, their often remote and reclusive nature, hints at a wisdom and power far beyond human comprehension, a silent watch over the unfolding story of the world. Their very presence implies a grand design, a cosmic ballet in which all other Pokémon and humans play a part. Delving deeper into the concept of consciousness, we encounter the possibility of a universal consciousness, a collective mind that underpins all life in the Pokémon world. This idea suggests that every Pokémon, every human, every plant, every particle of dust is interconnected through a vast, intricate network of awareness. The psychic hum we discussed earlier, then, isn't just a communication channel, but the very fabric of this shared consciousness. When a trainer and their Pokémon form a deep bond, it's not just a friendship, it's a resonant frequency, a harmonious alignment within this universal mind. This explains the often telepathic communication between trainers and their Pokémon, the uncanny understanding, the shared emotions. It's not magic, it's a natural consequence of tapping into this fundamental interconnectedness. The quiet reassurance of a Pokémon by its trainer's side, the shared joy of victory, the mutual comfort in defeat. These are not merely emotional responses, but echoes of a deeper, more profound unity. And what of the ethical implications of Pokémon battles, often presented as a sport, but involving creatures with undeniable sentience and often human-like intelligence? If Pokémon are indeed connected to a universal consciousness, if they possess souls and profound emotional capacities, then the act of battling takes on a much more complex moral dimension. Is it truly just a game, or is it a form of ritualized combat that tests their resilience, their courage, and their bond with their trainer, all within a framework of mutual respect and understanding? The lore often emphasizes the importance of a trainer's love and care for their Pokémon, suggesting that the well-being of the Pokémon is paramount. This implies a moral code, an unspoken agreement that the battles, while intense, are not meant to inflict lasting harm, but to foster growth and strength. The quiet understanding between a trainer and their Pokémon as they face an opponent, the shared heartbeat of anticipation, the unified will to succeed, these are not acts of exploitation, but perhaps a dance of wills, a test of spirit, performed within the boundaries of a deeply ingrained ethical system that values the integrity of each living being. Moving to a more unsettling, yet equally fascinating line of thought, some theories propose that the Pokemon world itself is not a natural planet, but an artificial construct, perhaps a terraformed colony or even a simulation. The sheer density of diverse biomes, the often unexplained appearance of ancient ruins and technologically advanced facilities, and the sometimes anomalous geography all lend a subtle weight to this idea. If this were true, it would cast the entire existence of Pokemon and humans in a new light. Are we all participants in a grand experiment, our lives unfolding within a carefully designed ecosystem? The quiet hum of unseen machinery, the faint echo of code running in the background, could be the subtle undercurrent of this simulated reality. The legendary Pokemon in this context might not be primordial deities, but powerful programs or guardians designed to maintain the integrity of the simulation. This would explain their often unique existence and their profound influence over the environment. The quiet mystery of ancient civilizations and their unexplained technologies could be echoes of the creators, faint traces left behind by those who shaped this very world. The stars we gaze upon at night, the gentle breeze rustling through the leaves, the warmth of the sun on our skin, are these truly natural phenomena or exquisitely rendered simulations designed to provide a perfect illusion of reality? The quiet thought of such an intricate design can be both awe-inspiring and profoundly humbling, reminding us of the vastness of possibilities, even within the most familiar of worlds. Then there's the peculiar case of the unknown Pokemon that resemble ancient alphabets or symbols. Their existence, often found in ruins and associated with powerful psychic energies, suggests a deeper connection to language, knowledge, and perhaps even the very fabric of reality. If unknown are indeed manifestations of written language, or if they possess the ability to influence reality through their collective consciousness as they spell out words, it implies that meaning itself possesses a tangible power in the Pokemon world. The quiet utterance of a word, the silent thought of a concept, could resonate with these enigmatic beings, subtly altering the world around us. This idea connects to ancient esoteric traditions that believe in the power of words, of names, of symbols to shape destiny and manifest reality. The quiet whisper of a forgotten language, the ancient symbols etched into stone, could hold keys to unlocking hidden potentials, to understanding the fundamental laws of this universe. The unknown, with their silent, watchful presence, are like living glyphs, guardians of a forgotten linguistic magic, their very forms a testament to the power of inscription and meaning. And as these gentle thoughts drift through the mind like soft clouds across a twilight sky, we can consider the cyclical nature of life and death as represented by Pokemon like Spirit Omb. A Pokemon formed from 108 spirits bound to an odd keystone, it embodies a collective of souls, a testament to the endurance of consciousness, even beyond individual physical forms. Its existence is a quiet reminder that what we perceive as an ending is often merely a transformation, a change in state, a gathering of essences. The silent lament within its form, the faint whispers of those 108 souls, speak to a continuity of being, a gentle merging of individual spirits into a larger, more enduring entity. It challenges the notion of individual death as a final cessation, instead presenting it as a reintegration, a return to a collective pool of consciousness. The quiet strength of its presence, guarding ancient places, serves as a timeless monument to the enduring mystery of life's endless cycles, a gentle affirmation that nothing truly vanishes, but merely shifts its form, its vibration, its place within the grand tapestry of existence. As these thoughts settle, a quiet understanding can emerge that the Pokemon world, in its infinite complexity, reflects the most profound questions of our own reality, offering gentle whispers of answers, inviting us to simply listen and to drift deeper into the comforting stillness of undisturbed sleep. And within this grand tapestry, we find the curious case of the Ditto, a Pokemon whose very essence is defined by its ability to transform into any other creature it sees. This remarkable biological mimicry, extending even to the cellular level, raises fascinating questions about identity and the nature of self. Is a Ditto truly the Pokemon it imitates, or is it merely a perfect copy, a temporary shell? Its original form, a simple, amorphous blob of pink, offers little in the way of distinct features, suggesting that its true identity might lie not in a fixed form, but in its boundless adaptability. This fluidity of self, the constant shifting and becoming, speaks to a deeper philosophical idea that identity is not static, but a dynamic process, a continuous act of transformation. The quiet hum of its cellular machinery, constantly reconfiguring itself, is a testament to the impermanence of physical form and the enduring nature of an underlying consciousness that can manifest in countless ways. Consider, too, the unsettling notion that Ditto might be a failed experiment, perhaps an attempt to clone Mew that went awry. The striking similarities between Ditto and Mew, their shared pink coloration, their identical weight and height, their ability to learn every move via TM in earlier generations, and most notably, their shared ability to transform, are too profound to be mere coincidence. If Ditto were indeed a byproduct of such an ambitious scientific endeavor, it suggests a secret history of genetic manipulation and a quest for ultimate power, hidden beneath the surface of the Pokemon world's vibrant ecosystem. The quiet hum of the cloning machines, the hushed whispers of scientists grappling with the ethical implications of their creations, could still echo in the silent spaces of forgotten laboratories. This theory paints a picture of creation not as a purely natural process, but as one sometimes guided by human ambition, with unforeseen and often peculiar results. The humble Ditto, with its unassuming appearance, could thus be a silent sentinel, a living artifact of a past scientific quest, its very existence a quiet reflection on the power and peril of playing creator. And as we ponder the origins of life, we can turn our thoughts to the ancient Pokémon, those creatures that have existed for eons, their very forms echoing the primordial forces that shaped the world. Fossils, resurrected through modern technology, bring back glimpses of a time when the world was raw and untamed. The quiet hum of the revival chambers, The gentle glow of the reconstructive beams awaken beings from a distant past, allowing us to witness life forms that once roamed vast, untouched landscapes. The theory that some fossil Pokemon, such as Omanite and Omastar, eventually went extinct due to their own biological limitations, like their insatiable appetites or slow movement, offers a gentle lesson in the delicate balance of ecosystems. Even the mightiest creatures, those that once dominated their environments, can succumb to the subtle pressures of change. Their quiet return to the earth, their fossilized remains a testament to their fleeting existence, reminds us of the constant ebb and flow of life, the natural cycles of growth and decline that govern all living things. Then there's the intriguing idea of Pokemon as tools or even weapons in the hands of humanity. Throughout history, conflicts have arisen, and it is not unreasonable to imagine that Pokemon, with their diverse abilities, would have been utilized in such struggles. The tale of the Pokemon War, a conflict vaguely referenced in the Kanto region, suggests a darker side to the relationship between humans and Pokemon. The quiet rustle of leaves as soldiers marched, the distant cries of Pokemon engaged in battle, paint a somber picture of a time when their immense power was harnessed for destructive purposes. This theory, though unsettling, offers a realistic perspective on the complexities of human nature and our tendency to exploit resources, even living ones, for our own ends. It's a quiet reminder of the responsibility that comes with great power and the delicate balance between cooperation and exploitation. The war, a silent scar on the world's history, serves as a cautionary tale, a hushed warning about the potential consequences of unchecked ambition. Moving beyond immediate conflicts, let's consider the subtle manipulation of reality that some Pokemon are capable of. Take, for example, the theory surrounding Kadabra and its spoon. The Pokedex entries often mention that the spoon amplifies its psychic powers, but some interpretations suggest a more profound connection, that the spoon might not just be a tool, but a necessity, a tangible anchor for its immense, potentially overwhelming psychic abilities. Without it, perhaps its powers would be uncontrollable, its mind adrift in a sea of raw psychic energy, unable to focus or manifest its thoughts effectively. The quiet hum of psychic vibrations emanating from the spoon, the gentle way Kadabra holds it, could be a silent testament to its reliance on this simple object to maintain its own sanity and control over its extraordinary gifts. This idea extends to other psychic Pokemon, suggesting that their powers, while awe-inspiring, might come with hidden vulnerabilities or necessary crutches, a gentle reminder that even the most powerful beings have their own delicate balances to maintain. And as we drift further into the realm of the subtly unsettling, we encounter the possibility of Pokemon influencing human behavior in ways we might not fully comprehend. The theory that ghost-type Pokemon are more than just spirits, but perhaps the lingering consciousness of deceased humans, offers particularly poignant reflection on life and death. The idea that a ghastly, Haunter, or Gengar might once have been a person, their essence transformed into a new spectral form, blurs the lines between species and speaks to the enduring nature of the soul. The quiet whispers of their ghostly forms, the faint echoes of their past lives, could subtly influence the living, perhaps inspiring feelings of melancholy, fear, or even comfort. Their playful mischief or chilling pranks could be the residual impulses of their human emotions, still seeking connection or release. This theory offers a gentle, albeit somber, contemplation on what happens after we pass, suggesting a continuation of being, albeit in a different, ethereal form. The quiet chill that accompanies a ghost, Pokemon's presence, could be a tangible manifestation of a lingering memory, a forgotten emotion, a quiet plea from beyond. This concept of lingering consciousness extends to the theories surrounding Cubone and its poignant story. The Pokedex entry famously states that Cubone wears the skull of its deceased mother and cries for her, a heartbreaking image that has resonated with countless trainers. However, some theories suggest a darker implication, that a Cubone's mother is always a Marowak, and that Cubone itself is always a baby Kangaskhan, separated from its mother. The similarities in their physical forms, particularly the head shape and the small pouch on Kangaskhan, lend credence to this idea. If true, it paints a tragic picture of orphaned young, forever mourning a mother that was stolen from them, perhaps by a natural predator or a cruel twist of fate. The quiet sobs of the Cubone, hidden beneath its bony helmet, may not just be for a lost parent, but for a lost identity, a severed connection to its true lineage. This theory adds another layer of sorrow to an already melancholic Pokemon, reminding us of the fragility of family bonds and the enduring pain of loss, a gentle, quiet echo of grief that resonates through the Pokemon world. And as we consider these deeper, more emotional theories, let's turn to the broader ecological implications within the Pokemon world. The idea that Team Rocket and other such organizations are not merely cartoonishly evil villains, but perhaps a necessary evil for maintaining a delicate ecological balance, offers a more nuanced perspective. Their poaching of rare Pokemon, their attempts at illicit breeding, while undeniably destructive, could inadvertently prevent overpopulation of certain species or promote genetic diversity through forced migration. While certainly not a justification for their actions, this theory suggests that the Pokemon world, like our own, is not simply black and white, but a complex interplay of forces where even seemingly destructive elements can, in a strange and convoluted way, contribute to a larger, albeit chaotic, equilibrium. The quiet rustle of their uniforms in the night, the hushed whispers of their nefarious plans, might be a strange, distorted echo of nature's own brutal balancing act. It's a gentle reminder that even in fictional worlds, morality can be a spectrum, and consequences can be unforeseen. Let's also delve into the chilling concept of Pokemon as parasites or mind controllers. Parasect, for instance, is a Pokemon whose very existence is defined by the parasitic mushroom on its back. The mushroom, originating from the Pokemon Paras, is said to completely take over the host's mind, draining its nutrients and controlling its actions. The quiet but almost imperceptible twitch of Parasect's lifeless eyes, the slow, deliberate movements dictated by the fungi, paint a truly unsettling picture of biological usurpation. The Pokemon itself is no longer an individual entity, but merely a puppet, a living vessel for the parasitic organism. This quiet horror, a slow, insidious takeover of a living being, offers a chilling parallel to real-world parasitic infections and the delicate balance between host and invader. It's a gentle whisper of the vulnerabilities inherent in all living things, the constant struggle for survival, even against unseen, insidious forces. And then there's the truly disturbing, yet subtly presented theory regarding the Pokemon world's seeming lack of an animal equivalent to our own. Where are the dogs, cats, birds, and fish that aren't Pokemon? The prevailing theory is that all animals in the Pokemon world are Pokemon. This implies a universe where every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, possesses unique abilities and can be captured and trained. While this simplifies the world for game mechanics, it has profound implications. It suggests a world where the very concept of wild animal is intertwined with Pokemon, blurring the lines between sentient beings and natural resources. The quiet rustle of leaves in a forest, the gentle chirping of birds, are all emanating from creatures with hidden powers, creatures that could potentially be caught and used. This quiet omnipresence of Pokemon, their complete integration into the ecosystem, means that every interaction with nature is also an interaction with potential power, potential companionship, or potential conflict. It's a gentle reminder of the unique and all-encompassing nature of Pokemon in their world, a world utterly defined by their existence. Consider the unsettling thought that some Pokemon might be inherently malevolent, not just aggressive by nature, but truly malicious in their intent. Spiritomb, with its 108 spirits, or even some ghost types that actively try to steal life force, hint at this. But imagine a Pokemon that exists purely to cause suffering, not out of instinct, but out of a perverse sense of joy. The quiet, almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere when such a being is near, the subtle feeling of unease that creeps in, could be its signature. This isn't about Pokemon being wild or untamed. It's about a deeper, more profound darkness. The theory that some Pokemon, particularly those found in desolate or cursed areas, feed not just on energy, but on negative emotions, fear, despair, sorrow, presents a chilling possibility. These Pokemon would be drawn to suffering, perhaps even subtly inducing it to sustain themselves. The quiet despair felt in a lonely, forgotten place might not just be a human emotion, but a subtle energy source for a hungry, unseen entity. It's a gentle, almost imperceptible ripple in the fabric of reality. A reminder that even in a world filled with wonder, shadows can linger and feed. And as these thoughts gently swirl, let's consider the theory that the main character, the player, is somehow unique, perhaps even a chosen one, destined to reshape the Pokemon world. The extraordinary ease with which they defeat powerful trainers, thwart criminal organizations, and capture legendary Pokemon, far exceeding what an ordinary 10-year-old could achieve, suggests something more. Perhaps they possess an inherent connection to Pokemon, a latent psychic ability, or even a destiny woven into the very fabric of the world. The quiet determination in their eyes, the unwavering conviction in their actions, could be a manifestation of this destiny. Their journey, often undertaken with little formal training, yet always culminating in success, speaks to a larger purpose, a gentle push from unseen forces guiding their path. This theory offers a comforting thought that even in a vast world, an individual can make an immense difference, their actions resonating far beyond their immediate sphere. It's a quiet affirmation of potential, of destiny, and of the extraordinary power that can reside within even the most unassuming of individuals. And as we drift further, deeper into the quiet stillness, let's reflect on the profound connection between legendary Pokemon and the very creation of the world. Arceus, often referred to as the original one, is said to have created the Sinnoh region and perhaps even the entire Pokemon universe with its 1,000 arms. This myth positions Arceus not just as a powerful creature, but as a godlike entity, the ultimate source of all existence. The quiet hum of creation, the gentle shaping of mountains and oceans, the careful placement of stars all emanate from this single, majestic being. This theory suggests a universe with a definitive beginning, a singular creative force responsible for its intricate design. It offers a sense of order and purpose, even in the vastness of space and time. The quiet whispers of ancient texts, the reverence shown to Arceus in sacred places, speak to a deep-seated belief in a prime mover, a gentle, powerful hand that guides the cosmos. This idea brings a sense of grand scale to the Pokemon world, connecting every creature, every landscape, every moment back to a singular, ultimate origin. And finally, as the quiet embrace of sleep begins to settle, let's consider the meta theory that the entire Pokemon world is a simulation, or perhaps a dream. The repetitive nature of certain events, the cyclical return of criminal organizations, the convenient absence of truly devastating consequences from world-ending threats could all be explained away by this concept. The quiet hum of a supercomputer, the gentle flicker of projected images, could be the true reality behind the vibrant, living world we perceive. This theory offers a unique perspective on the nature of reality itself, prompting us to question what is real and what is merely a construct. The quiet whisper of this possibility, like a faint echo in the mind, can be strangely comforting, suggesting that even our deepest fears and greatest triumphs are part of a larger, perhaps benign design. It's a gentle invitation to let go, to surrender to the peaceful illusion, and to simply exist within the comforting narrative that unfolds around us as we drift deeper and deeper into the quiet, undisturbed slumber. The subtle notion that all Pokemon battles, all the dramatic confrontations and triumphant victories are merely a form of highly sophisticated, intricate play acting for the amusement of unseen entities offers a strangely soothing lens through which to view the often intense world of trainers. Imagine, if you will, the hushed whispers of an invisible audience, their gentle sighs and soft applause accompanying every well-placed attack, every strategic retreat. This idea transforms the often perceived struggle for dominance into a grand, beautifully choreographed performance, where even the most devastating attacks are carefully calibrated to ensure no lasting harm, no true despair. The Pokemon, with their innate loyalty and their surprising resilience, become willing participants in this elaborate charade, their powerful moves a testament to their dedication to the show. The trainers, in turn, are the directors and stars, their strategies and emotional responses all part of the captivating narrative. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? To think that even in the heat of battle, there's an underlying current of safety, a gentle hand guiding the narrative toward a satisfying if predetermined conclusion. The quiet clatter of Pokeballs, the shimmering glow of abilities, the triumphant cry of a victorious Pokemon all become elements in a meticulously crafted spectacle designed to entertain and perhaps even to teach. This perspective gently eases the tension inherent in competition, suggesting that even in moments of perceived failure, there is a larger purpose at play, a lesson to be learned, a story to be told. It allows us to view the Pokemon world not as a harsh proving ground, but as a magnificent stage where every character, every creature, has an important role to play in an ongoing gentle drama. Then, let us consider the whispered theory that the legendary Pokemon, those extraordinary beings of immense power and ancient wisdom, are not merely creatures, but rather embodiments of fundamental forces of nature, or even cosmic principles. Dialga, for instance, isn't just a Pokemon that controls time. It is time itself, a living, breathing manifestation of temporal flow. Palkia, similarly, embodies space, its very presence defining the dimensions of the universe. Giratina, in its distorted realm, represents the antimatter and the inverse, a delicate balance to the ordered reality. This ethereal concept imbues these magnificent beings with a profound, almost spiritual significance, lifting them beyond the realm of mere animals, however powerful, and into the sphere of philosophical concepts given form. The gentle ebb and flow of the tides, the quiet shifting of tectonic plates, the silent spinning of galaxies, all could be seen as the subtle movements of these cosmic entities, their presence a constant unseen influence on the very fabric of existence. Their occasional appearances, their interactions with humanity, become not just encounters with powerful beasts, but fleeting glimpses into the underlying mechanisms of the cosmos. It's a humbling thought to consider that the very air we breathe, the ground beneath our feet, the passage of moments are all intimately connected to these majestic, living forces. This theory offers a deeper layer of meaning to their existence, transforming them into silent, watchful guardians of the universe, their power not just destructive, but formative and essential. The quiet reverence for these legends, passed down through generations, takes on a new weight, a recognition of their fundamental role in maintaining the delicate balance of the world. It suggests that our world is not merely a collection of elements, but a carefully woven tapestry, each thread a whisper of a legendary Pokemon's influence, a testament to their quiet, unwavering presence. Drifting further into the realm of gentle speculation, we encounter the curious possibility that the various regions of the Pokemon world, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, Galar, and Paldea, are not merely geographically distinct locations, but represent different stages of humanity's technological and societal development. Kanto, with its focus on industrialization and scientific innovation, might mirror an early industrial age, a time of burgeoning discovery and the harnessing of new powers. Johto, with its deep respect for tradition and spiritual connection to nature, could represent a more ancient, perhaps even medieval period, where folklore and reverence for the land held sway. Hoenn, with its emphasis on environmental concerns and the clash between nature and progress, might reflect a modern ecological awareness. Sinnoh, with its creation myths and cosmic legends, seems to touch upon fundamental questions of existence, perhaps mirroring humanity's philosophical awakening. Unova, a melting pot of cultures and towering skylines, could be a reflection of urbanized, globalized society. Kalos, with its fashion and grandeur, speaks to an era of elegance and artistic flourishing. Alola, with its island traditions and deep connection to unique ecological systems, might represent a return to simpler, community-focused living. Galar, with its league-centric culture and vast wilderness, could be seen as a modern take on grand sporting events and national identity, and Paldea, with its academy and exploration, whispers of a future where learning and new discoveries are paramount. This gentle perspective transforms the world map into a historical atlas, each region a living museum of human progress and cultural evolution. The quiet journey from one region to another becomes a subtle passage through time, a gentle reminder of the diverse ways in which civilizations can flourish and adapt. It suggests that the Pokemon world, in its entirety, is a reflection of humanity's own journey, its triumphs and its struggles, its dreams and its aspirations, all playing out on a grand, sprawling canvas. The gentle variations in architecture, in custom, in the very Pokemon themselves, become subtle clues to these different historical periods, weaving a rich and complex narrative that extends far beyond individual adventures. And then there's the intriguing, albeit slightly melancholic, theory surrounding the nature of ghost-type Pokemon. Beyond their spectral appearances and often playful, sometimes mischievous antics, lies the quiet suggestion that many ghost-type Pokemon are not merely spirits, but the lingering essences of Pokemon and even humans who have passed on. The gentle, mournful cries of a Banette, said to be a discarded doll imbued with a grudge, or the quiet, lonely wanderings of a Phantom, described as the spirits of children lost in the forest, paint a poignant picture. This theory imbues these often feared creatures with a profound sense of pathos, transforming them from mere obstacles into remnants of lives once lived, echoes of forgotten joys and sorrows. The quiet rustle of a ghastly in the darkness, the faint chill emanating from a haunter, could be interpreted not as malevolent intent, but as the quiet yearning for connection, for recognition, for a gentle release from their ethereal bonds. It brings a surprisingly human dimension to the Pokemon world, acknowledging the universal experience of loss and remembrance. The gentle comfort provided by a friendly ghost type, or the quiet understanding shared between a trainer and their spectral companion, takes on a deeper meaning, suggesting a bridge between worlds, a quiet dialogue between the living and the departed. This perspective encourages a sense of empathy and understanding, reminding us that even in the most unusual forms, there can be a story, a history, a quiet, lingering spark of life that deserves respect and compassion. It's a gentle reminder that even in death, there can be a continuation, a different form of existence, a quiet presence that still touches the world in subtle, meaningful ways. Let us now consider the subtle, perhaps even beautiful notion that the very act of evolving a Pokemon is not merely a change in form and power, but a manifestation of their accumulated experiences, their emotional growth, and their deep bond with their trainer. It's not just a level up, a biological alteration, but a metamorphic transformation driven by the quiet strength of their shared journey. Imagine a tiny, vulnerable Pokemon facing challenges, learning new moves, overcoming obstacles alongside its human companion. Each battle won, each obstacle overcome, each moment of quiet companionship contributes a gentle energy, a subtle shift in their being. The evolution then becomes a culmination of these experiences, a physical embodiment of their inner development. A timid Eevee, showered with affection and trust, blossoming into a graceful Sylveon, a fierce Charmander, tempered by hard-fought battles, evolving into a mighty Charizard. These are not just biological processes, but profound statements of growth and connection. The quiet glow of evolution, the gentle reshaping of their form, is a visual symphony of their personal narrative, a testament to the power of nurture and shared purpose. This theory elevates the act of evolution from a simple game mechanic to a deeply personal and emotionally resonant event, reflecting the transformative power of love, friendship, and perseverance. It suggests that the true strength of a Pokemon lies not just in its inherent abilities, but in the quiet, unwavering bond it shares with its trainer, a bond that literally shapes its very being. It's a gentle reminder that every interaction, every shared moment, contributes to a larger, more beautiful transformation, a quiet unfolding of potential. And as we continue our gentle journey into the quiet depths of these theories, let's reflect upon the peculiar absence of adult characters who are not involved in some specific, often limited capacity within the Pokemon world. Where are the everyday shopkeepers, the ordinary citizens, simply living their lives without a grand purpose tied to Pokemon research, battling, or villainy? This quiet observation leads to the fascinating, almost dreamlike theory that the entire Pokemon world, as we experience it, is primarily seen through the eyes and perhaps even shaped by the imagination of children. The adult figures we do encounter, professors, gym leaders, Elite Four members, even the villains, often serve as guides, mentors, or obstacles, much like the figures in a child's imaginative play. The world is vibrant, full of wonder and adventure, yet strangely devoid of the mundane complexities that define adult life. There are no taxes to worry about, no tedious commutes, no existential dread beyond the immediate challenge of the next gym battle or the next villainous plot. Everything revolves around the gentle cycle of training, battling, and discovery. This perspective suggests a world imbued with the innocent optimism and boundless potential of youth, where every day holds the promise of a new adventure, and every challenge can be overcome with courage and friendship. The quiet hum of a child's imagination, the gentle shaping of reality to fit their desires, could be the unseen force behind the world's perpetual sense of wonder. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? To imagine a world where the greatest problems are those that can be solved by a determined young trainer and their loyal Pokemon. A world where the quiet magic of childhood dreams holds sway. It allows us to view the Pokemon universe as a safe, comforting space, a gentle narrative unfolding within the boundless creativity of a young mind, a serene escape from the complexities of the adult world as we gently drift further and further into the quiet, undisturbed slumber. This perspective also quietly sheds light on another intriguing, almost ethereal theory, that the Pokemon themselves, in their myriad forms and expressions, are not merely creatures in a biological sense, but rather crystallized manifestations of human emotions, thoughts, and even concepts. Consider the spectral beauty of a Ghastly, its form a wispy embodiment of fear, its gaseous body a visual representation of intangible dread, or perhaps the steadfast loyalty of a Growlithe, a living, breathing symbol of unwavering devotion. This theory suggests that as human civilization grew and our collective consciousness deepened, our abstract ideas and feelings began to coalesce, to gain a physical presence within the world. Each Pokemon, then, could be seen as a living metaphor, a tangible embodiment of an aspect of the human experience. Think of the legendary Pokemon, those beings of immense power and profound significance. Could Arceus, the alpha Pokemon, be the very concept of creation itself, given form and will? Dialga, the master of time, and Palkia, the master of space, might not merely control these dimensions, but are time and space as perceived and understood by the collective unconscious. Their very existence shapes the fabric of reality, much like our fundamental understanding of these concepts shapes our experience of the world. This gives a deeper, almost mystical layer to every Pokemon encounter. When a trainer catches a Pokemon, they are not just acquiring a creature, but integrating a living concept into their journey, learning to understand and harness an aspect of themselves or the world around them. The bonds formed with Pokemon become more than just companionship, they become a profound synthesis of human and conceptual being, a harmonious dance between thought and form. This idea also gently explains the incredible diversity of Pokemon. As humanity's experiences broadened, as new emotions and ideas emerged, so too did new species of Pokemon. The Industrial Revolution, for instance, might have given rise to Pokemon like Magnemite and Voltorb, embodying the new energies and mechanisms of a changing world. The gentle hum of innovation, the quiet thrum of progress, manifesting in metallic, electric forms. It's a beautiful, almost poetic way to understand the Pokemon world, where every creature, from the smallest Caterpie to the most majestic Dragonite, carries with it a whisper of human history, a reflection of our internal landscape. And as we ponder this deep connection, we might also consider the quiet implications of Pokemon evolution. Is it merely a biological process, or is it a symbolic journey, a transformation that mirrors the growth and development of our own understanding and emotional maturity? When a Pokemon evolves, it often gains new abilities, a new appearance, a new sense of presence. This could be seen as the refinement of a concept, the deepening of an emotion as it gains complexity and nuance. The awkwardness of a first love transforming into the profound bond of a lifelong partnership, much like a timid Eevee blossoming into a regal Vaporeon or a fiery Flareon. This gentle understanding of Pokemon as living concepts also lends a quiet weight to the actions of Team Rocket, Team Plasma, or any villainous organization. When they attempt to exploit Pokemon, they are not just abusing creatures, but attempting to twist and corrupt fundamental aspects of reality, to bend concepts like ambition, power, or loyalty to their own selfish ends. Their efforts are not just criminal, they are an affront to the very essence of existence, a dissonant chord within the gentle symphony of the world. The heroism of the trainers, then, transcends mere monster catching. It becomes a quiet defense of the conceptual integrity of the universe, a gentle upholding of the inherent balance between human experience and its manifested forms. It's a world where the lines between the tangible and the abstract blur, where thoughts can take flight and feelings can take root, growing into living, breathing companions. As we drift deeper into these quiet contemplations, let's turn our attention to another intriguing, almost melancholic theory. The idea that the Pokemon world exists in a kind of post-apocalyptic state, a world that has quietly rebuilt itself after some catastrophic event, the details of which are now largely forgotten or woven into myth. The scarcity of truly wild, uninhabited regions, the prevalence of ruins, and the lingering sense of mystery surrounding ancient civilizations all contribute to this subtle undercurrent. Consider the vast, often overgrown ruins scattered across various regions, like the Relic Castle in Unova or the Seafoam Islands in Kanto, which hint at once thriving societies now reduced to crumbling stones. These are not merely ancient structures, they often carry a sense of loss, a whisper of a grander past that was somehow brought to an end. The relatively small populations in many towns and cities, and the emphasis on self sufficiency and resourcefulness, could also be interpreted as subtle echoes of a rebuilding society. Why is there such a focus on children undertaking vast journeys, often with little adult supervision, if not because the adult population is either scarce, preoccupied with rebuilding, or perhaps has developed a collective resilience born from past hardship? The constant presence of Pokémon, while often celebrated, could also be seen as a silent, ever present reminder of a world where nature has reasserted itself, perhaps even reclaiming much of what was once human territory. The very act of taming and partnering with Pokémon becomes a poignant symbol of humanity's quiet effort to coexist and thrive in this changed landscape. Think about the legendary Pokémon again. Many of them are associated with cataclysmic events. Gruden and Kyogre's earth-shaping battles, Rayquaza's role in quelling their conflict, or the legends of Zekrom and Reshiram bringing the Unova region to its knees. These are not just tales. They could be distorted memories of genuine world-altering events that left humanity scarred and forced to adapt. The legends are not merely fantastical stories, but rather quiet, cautionary echoes of a past where the very fabric of existence was threatened, suggesting a cyclical nature of destruction and rebirth. The creation myths themselves, often involving powerful beings shaping the world, could be interpreted as a desperate attempt by a recovering civilization to understand and codify the events that led to their current state, to find meaning in the chaos that once reigned. The existence of powerful, often dangerous Pokémon that roam freely, and the necessity of trainers to protect towns and cities, hints at a world where humanity is not entirely dominant, where the balance of power is often delicate. The Pokémon League, with its hierarchical structure and emphasis on strength and strategy, could be interpreted not just as a sporting event, but as a crucial system for training individuals to defend and rebuild society, to ensure that humanity can withstand future challenges. It's a gentle, almost unspoken acknowledgement that the world is still finding its footing, still recovering from a wound that time has yet to fully heal. The quiet resilience of the human spirit, the gentle determination to rebuild and forge a new path, resonates through every corner of this theory. This perspective also casts a different light on the motivations of the villainous teams. Their desire to control legendary Pokémon, to reshape the world, could be seen as an echo of the very forces that caused the initial catastrophe. They are attempting to play with fire, to unleash powers that humanity once struggled to contain, perhaps even unwittingly bringing about another cycle of destruction. The young protagonists, then, are not just stopping petty criminals, they are quietly safeguarding the precarious peace that has been painstakingly built, preventing history from repeating itself. It's a heavy burden for young shoulders, yet they carry it with an unwavering spirit, a testament to the enduring hope that springs from even the quietest corners of a recovering world. Even the Pokédex, that ubiquitous device for cataloging Pokémon, could be seen as a quiet endeavor to understand and document the new world, to make sense of the creatures that now share their space, to learn from them, and to find a way to live harmoniously. It's a gentle act of reconciliation with nature, a quiet quest for knowledge in a world that has been irrevocably changed. The very process of catching 'em all becomes a symbolic journey of rediscovery, of piecing together the fragmented understanding of a world that is still revealing its secrets. And as we continue our gentle journey into the deeper layers of these theories, let's consider the quiet, almost unsettling implication of a world where human and Pokemon are so intrinsically linked, so intertwined that their fates are inseparable. This idea of a post apocalyptic world, rebuilt with the quiet cooperation of Pokemon, adds a layer of depth and poignancy to every interaction, every battle, every moment of shared companionship. It's a gentle reminder that even in the face of profound loss, there is always the potential for renewal, for growth, for a quiet, enduring hope that blossoms amidst the ruins of the past. And as the quiet stillness of these thoughts settles around us, let's explore a theory that delves into the very nature of existence within the Pokemon world, a concept both profound and subtly unsettling. The idea that the entire Pokemon universe, with all its vibrant colors, diverse creatures, and epic adventures, is not a physical reality, but rather a vast collective dream or a simulation. This theory gently suggests that the consistent rules, the predictable patterns of Pokemon behavior, the very structure of the world's geography and history all point to an underlying design, an intricate program, or a dream logic that governs its existence. Imagine, if you will, the gentle hum of a colossal supercomputer, tirelessly running the calculations that manifest every blade of grass, every rippling lake, every spirited battle, or perhaps the deep shared slumber of an ancient cosmic entity whose dreams are the very fabric of the Pokemon world, where every encounter, every challenge, every triumph is merely a fleeting image within its vast, unconscious mind. This concept offers a quiet explanation for many of the world's more fantastical elements. The instantaneous teleportation of Pokemon, the ability to heal any wound at a Pokemon Center with a gentle flash of light, the perfect consistency of type advantages and disadvantages, these phenomena, which defy our conventional understanding of physics, become entirely plausible within the framework of a designed system or a dream. The often remarked upon absence of death in its conventional sense, or at least its very downplayed nature, could be seen as a feature of this simulation or dream. Pokemon faint, they don't perish. They are rarely truly gone, even if released. They simply return to the collective data or the dream's subconscious. This gentle suspension of ultimate consequence creates a safe, almost therapeutic environment for the players or dreamers within. It allows for exploration, for challenge, for growth, without the harsh finality of a truly physical world. The Pokemon themselves, then, could be intricate algorithms, complex data constructs, or archetypal figures woven from the dream's essence. Their personalities, their abilities, their very forms are all part of the grand design, each serving a purpose within the simulated reality or the unfolding narrative of the dream. The player character, the young trainer embarking on their journey, could be seen as an avatar, a consciousness navigating this designed space. Their choices, their battles, their bonds with Pokemon all contribute to the unfolding narrative, influencing the parameters of the simulation or adding new layers to the collective dream. The gym leaders, the Elite Four, and even the villainous teams become sophisticated non player characters or recurring dream motifs designed to provide structure, challenge, and narrative progression. Their motivations, while seemingly complex, are ultimately bound by the underlying logic of the system. Even the concept of legendary Pokémon takes on a new resonance. They might be the core programming, the foundational principles of the simulation, or the deepest, most potent symbols within the cosmic dream. Their power is not just immense, it is fundamental to the very existence of the world, much like the operating system of a computer or the deep seated anxieties and desires that shape a dream. This theory also quietly explains the iterative nature of the games themselves. Each new region, each new generation of Pokemon could be seen as an update, an expansion pack, a new chapter within the ongoing simulation or dream. The subtle retcons, the slight variations in lore, are merely patches or refinements to the overarching program, ensuring a fresh and engaging experience for the consciousnesses within. It's a comforting thought, in its own peculiar way, to imagine a world so perfectly constructed, so meticulously designed for wonder and adventure. A world where every challenge is surmountable, every loss is temporary, and every journey leads to a gentle, satisfying conclusion. The quiet hum of existence in the Pokemon world becomes not the chaotic symphony of a natural ecosystem, but the harmonious, purposeful melody of a carefully crafted reality, a serene escape from the unpredictable complexities of our own. And as this gentle thought settles, drawing us deeper into a peaceful quietude, we can imagine ourselves gently floating within this simulated or dreamed reality, a serene participant in its endless unfolding narrative, drifting further and further into the soft, comforting embrace of slumber. The lines between reality and dream quietly blur, and the gentle whisper of a sleeping world becomes our own lullaby.